Okay, hello guys. Today we are going to analyze the game between Garry Kasparov and Magnus Carlsen. The game played in the second round of the tournament in St. Louis, organized by St. Louis Chess Club. And this is Fischer chess, yeah. So this is 960. So it means look at the pieces, yeah. So all the pieces are completely different than normal chess. So this is kind of tricky, but it's tricky for both of the players, right? Even for Garry is better because now Garry is like not playing since years. So for now, for him is a little better because Magnus is, like following all the openings, and I think for Garry is actually not possible to to follow because it takes too much time. So I think if the beginning position is just random, is just very nice for Garry. But let's start analyze. So Garry is opening with the 4, like so many years ago, his favorite move. So Magnus reply with also with the d5. um, Garry played e3, just giving the space for the bishop. Magnus knight f6, knight f3, e6, so the same position, and now c4 by Garry, so opening this king. But you see, now Magnus plays e a 6, knight f3, Magnus takes, Garry takes, c5, d takes c, bishop takes, and now Garry trade the queen. As you see in the game, like Garry tried to almost trade everything was possible, because I suppose that Garry, before the game, he would be very happy with the draw with Magnus right now, but not too many people know. So maybe I will remind you that many years ago, when Magnus was 19 years old, he started cooperate with Garry, so Garry became his chess coach. So after years they meet again, close on the chessboard. So that's why this game is so nice and so important to the chess world. So they he traded queens, and now he went back with his bishop on the 3. So now the position looks like pretty normal. So we can forget that we start from Fischer random, right? This looks like very normal. It looks like absolutely equal. So now we can start analyze a little bit. So Magnus is just escaping this open file with the king. Garry castle developing by Magnus, and now Garry go to g5 with his knight, just to index the next move try to exchange the knights. Magnus also wants to be on the open line with his rook. Now Garry centralizing the knight, but he want to trade this knight. Carlsen take, Garry also take, and now bishop of course have to go out from the c5 square, and b6 looks like very nice square for the bishop. Bishop c3, very nice place for the bishop. And so now Magnus have to defend g7 pawn, so that's why he play this move. And now in the same time he opened this diagonal for the bishop, and could be kind of danger. So that's why Garry immediately played the g4. And now Magnus wants to trade this active bishop. Garry trade, and now this bishop loses a little bit out of the game, but just for a while. And now Garry wants to trade the rooks, so the game is like about more or less about trading for now, but it's going to change very soon. And now rook g1, just to go out of this pin. Horrible pin, right? And in the same time protecting the pawn. Knight c4. I gotta trade the rooks. And now g5. So g5 is trying to, you know, making any so Garry want to get something out of this open line, but Magnus doesn't allow to open, and he pushed the pawn for f5. Now Garry have to go back on c3. Magnus centralized the knight, but Garry said no, 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 Magnus, you cannot be in the center, right? This is too good square for you knight. So he kicked the knight out, but in the same time look for this pawn. This pawn looks like very, very, very weak. And now knight f3. He have to go out with the rook from this square, and in the same time defend this pawn. So, but look, he's again here on this diagonal, so it's kind of very dangerous. But Garry shows that he's not afraid of anything. After in the first round he won with Firouzja, so in the second round I think he's very strong. He feels very like mental strong after the first game. Rook f2, attacking the attacking the knight, and Magnus want to trade everything in the center, or maybe he just want to go with the pawn to e4, just to, you know, just to make very strong square for his bishop or the rook in the future. But Garry doesn't allow for this, and he play immediately e4, and now it's a lot of going on in the center. It's very, very hot for now. Magnus trade, Garry trade with the knight. Maybe it wasn't so perfect, but still fine. And Magnus centralizing the knight, and Garry go back with his knight to g3. So Magnus the bishop, because he's thinking that maybe he have more chance, just, you know, because you know that the rook is works perfect with bishops, much better than rooks cooperating with knights. So yeah, so it was like elementary decision, and now it's kind of very, very tricky, but still it's still equal the game. So Garry have to defend f4 pawn. Magnus centralizes king, so Garry also is going to the center with his king. And now this is tricky because Carlsen wants to just trade these pieces and just maybe collect this pawn, right? Because there's no more defense for this pawn. So yeah, it's not too much we can do with this. But yeah, so it's hard to understand why Magnus just hesitate for a while, and he didn't play this. So he could trade and just collect the pawn, and this ending would be much better for him, probably winning. But he just went with the rook on f7, and just remember the f7 square, because he's going to blunder one more time on this square. So I think this square is very you know, not pleasant, and the Carlsen can dream about this square in today's night. So yeah, so immediately Garry played perfect move, just to, you know, avoiding the losing the pawn. So now Magnus just trade. So, and now this is this move intermediate. So Garry first collect the pawn and then collect the bishop. So looks like, and now of course Magnus take the pawn. So it looks like absolutely absolutely equal position for now. But yeah, so let's see. So Garry is centralizing the king, and Magnus try to collect the pawns, and it's a bit harder for Garry to defend these pawns because there are more. This pawn actually is more advanced. So yeah, so this is kind of weakness as well in this position. checking the king. Yeah, and Garry is looking for the space for the rook to operate. Yeah, on this line, try to maybe collect this pawn on this pawn. Yeah, as well. So he's trying to do his best. Yeah, and now, yeah, exactly. Now attacking the pawn. Rook takes, and now it's going. It doesn't look so nice, but still Garry can try to make a draw here. Yeah, now it's still kind of drawish, and now maybe this is small mistake because now we can see two pawns, two very weak points on the same line. So it's very easy to go with the rook here and try to collect this and this in the same attack, like double attack. So yeah, so Magnus tried to collect these pawns. I tried to take something also to have some chance, and now again, you see this f7 square is it's a nightmare for Magnus. He play this move, and in the same time, I think he could just leave this pawn and just focus on this part of the board, just going forward with two pawns and the rook, and then just try to defend with the king again, maybe this pawn, and it was winning. Yeah, he was winning in this position, but in this position actually is draw. Yeah, so yeah, so without any hesitation, Garry played h5. But if we look for the clocks, both players, so see this is 1 minute against 2 minutes, so there is no time to think. It was rapid chess. It was 20 plus 10 seconds per move increment, so this is, everything is very rapid. Magnus exchange, Garry takes, and first, before Magnus collect this pawn, he have to defend this pawn. Yeah, Garry want to cut the king. Yeah, still try to cut the king, and now he have to cut the king, this way, in the same time defending the pawn. King is going to his own pawn, so king also going here, and now it's very hard to get to these pawns. And how Magnus can defend this pawn? He have to trade the rooks. Yeah, and he did. So Garry rooks, and now guys, they know that this is like elementary, draw. For them is like piece of cake. They knew this kind of position very well. So yeah, Garry just took the opposition, and he's keeping the position. And Magnus, I think, offered a draw here, and I think everybody is happy. So summing up this game, I think finally Magnus was much closer to win. But finally, I think yeah, during the game was plenty of emotion. Both of the guys wanted to win, but finally, I think this peaceful result is fine for the chess world. And we know that even after so many years not playing, Garry showed that his generation is still strong, and yeah, so young generation have to still work to improve the chess. Yeah, I'm very happy and kind of proud that Garry just just took part in this event, because top players on the planet in this event. But in the first round he won with Firouzja, the second he drew with Magnus. So I'm very interested how this tournament will go. Yeah, for today is fine on this video, everything. So I hope guys you enjoyed the video. Yeah, please like and subscribe the channel, and see you in the next video.